Magandang hapon sa mga taga-UP. Yung aking UP stint actually, late 70s. Yun yung pinakitaan ng 1978 elections. Dito ginawa yun, yung proclamation rally, na kung saan lumabas si Chris Aquino, 7 years old. And you should be fortunate, na maraming dumaan dito sa College of Law. In fact, the whole Philippine political history dito nagsisimula sa College of Law. At tatlong council president ng student government ng College of Law ay mga outstanding people ngayon na nakasama ko nung nasa UP pa ako hanggang ngayon. At magugulat kayo kasi sila din yung may involved dito sa party list dispute. Si Commissioner Rene Sarmiento was the council president of the UP College of Law nung time yun. Of course, the former team, Raul Pangalangan, is one. Marami rin sinasabi yan sa party list. And the chairman of the negotiating panel with the CPP in the Alex Padilla is also the president of this college student council in those times. Talagang panahon yung aktivismo. Kaya kung binalikan nyo kasi when you speak of the party system, it cannot be divorced from the political context within which the system was discussed by the Constitutional Commission and agreed upon to put in the 1987 Constitution. What is the context that I'm speaking of? The party system was a product of people power. Meaning, when the Constitutional Commission was formed, it was formed by a victorious political movement that ousted the dictatorship. And part, of course, of the struggle against the dictatorship was to build a democracy. And the task of the Constitutional Commission in those times was to precisely establish the foundation upon which the post-Marcos democracy was to flourish. Ang problema, nagsimula sila on the wrong footing. Ang kwento kasi dyan, nag-straw vote muna sila kung anong klaseng sistema ang itatayo nila na parang foundation o yung infrastructure ng ganong klaseng demokrasya. The straw vote was, of course, a choice between a parliamentary system and a presidential system. Kasi marami nga nag-question na yung dating presidential system brought about the dictatorship. Kaya nag-explore, naging open at the time ang exploration for a different system. Nagkabutuhan, di ko alam kung masamang pala, nanalo yung parliamentary system. Close vote, I think it lost by 2 votes yata. Pero straw vote yun. Meaning, that was only to guide the framers doon sa kanilang pagtalakay ng specific articles of the Constitution. Kasi the way they work, hindi naman sila nagsimula sa Article 1 then 2, then 3. Ang haba nun. Ang ginawa nila, dinivide na sarili nila to tackle simultaneously all the articles based on the straw vote. So may mga naunang provision, yung madali, yung matipong dalawang section lang, like amendments and revision of the Constitution. May dalawa dito na nagbago sa assumption. One, of course, was the parliamentary system. When they came to the voting, the actual voting, on what to establish, may mga bumaliktad sa kanila. At naging presidential system tayo by 1 vote. Ang problema by that time, na-approve na yung mga articles containing yung mga features ng isang parliamentary system, which includes the party system and the multi-party system. Yun yung dalawa. Globally, sa ibang mga bansa, yan dalawang features na yan almost always can be found in parliamentary systems, not in a presidential system. Ang pangalawa dito na nagka-problema, it envision doon sa Strubo na unicameral parliament ang legislative body natin. Naging BICAM. Yung dalawang pagbabago to, may impact ito sa party system. One, party system became confined to the House of Representatives. Hindi nahabol at in fact hindi na-envision na yung Senado magkakaroon ng participation ang party system. Secondly, may problem sa question ng ano ba ang ina-address ng system na yan. This is beyond already the actual straw vote. Dito in fact nagsimula yung debate whether or not proportional representation ang norm, which is what we call the party system outside of the Philippines, and the question of reserve seats, which is actually the term used kapag nagsasabi ka na magkaroon ng reserve seats ang mga marginalized and underrepresented sector. It's a completely different system. Sa New Zealand, for example, when the New Zealand Constitution was made, they clearly reserved seats in the parliament for the Maori people, yung native. And what they did was to constitute a separate voting list for Maori. Only Maoris can vote for those seats. Very clear yun. They cannot participate in the majority election. Yung mga non-Maori, which is who are in the majority, may separate silang voters list. Kaya maliwanag, naka-reserve talaga yung a certain percentage of the seats in the New Zealand Parliament for Maoris. Ang problema dito, one, the Constitution actually allowed only 20%. And second, it did not say reserve. In fact, the Constitution, if you read the provisions on party list, speaks of a national vote for the party list, meaning all voters vote for party list. So there's no sense, in fact, in having a specific sector. If you are a women's party or a women's party list group, hindi naman ang boboto sa iyo yung mga kawiminan eh. Pati yung kalalakihan, pati yung mga homophobic na kalalakihan, pati yung mga anti, yung mga macho dyan, boboto yan kung sino yung representative ng kawiminan. In the same way that the elderly cannot vote only for the elderly candidates, kahit yung mga bata can vote for them and vice versa. I mean, there's no sense. Nagre-reserve ka ng seats, pero ang boboto actually ay yung buong electorate. And the reason was, of course, it's not the proper system for the marginalized and underrepresented. And when it came out in the debate in the Constitutional Commission, it was defeated. That yung sinasabi kanina ni Barry. Talo yun. Ang nanalo yung version ni Commissioner Munson at that time, which is ipatupad natin yung proportional representation, which is the party list. At ang na-envision niya dito, it is an experimental system kasi bago nga. Even the parliamentary system, if approved, bago sa atin yun. Although parliamentary yung malulos republic, ano? Pero hindi naman tayo nagkaroon ng practice na ganun ka-extensive doon. Ang napagkaisantuloy is 20%. In most countries, na may party system, which is around 59% of the entire world, ang usual ratio is 50%. Kasi yung system itself is not an inferior system. It's not a secondary or supplementary system. In many countries, in fact, it's the main system by which to ensure yung kanilang democracy, yung representation ng mga iba't ibang sektor ng lipunan nila. At ang idea, walang sektor. In fact, walang sektor na gano'n. Proportional representation means that yung mga nanalo sa first past the post, yung present district representation natin ngayon, nakakuha ka ng in a multi-party system, no? Bawa, 5 kayong lumalaban sa isang distrito. Ang pinakamalaki nakuha ay, let's say, 35%. Ang second nakuha ay 34%. And so on and so forth. At papasok lamang siyempre yung number 1. Yun ang first past the post. All the rest, yung bumuto sa kanila, ay hindi marirepresent sa Kongreso. At majority sila. Kasi kung 35% lang bumuto doon sa number 1, that means 65% ay walang boto o walang representation. Yun ang purpose ng party list, in fact, sa Germany or elsewhere. Na yung number 2, number 3, or even more, kayang pumasok sa Kongreso, thereby raising the representation level to majority or even more. Yun ang thinking behind it. Sa atin, dahil doon sa sistema sinasabi ni former chair, no? Bunso, sa kanya experimental, to be sure. Kaya 20%. But the 20% will be voted upon by the entire electorate, national electorate. At yung sabi ni Barry kanina, no? Kung meron kayong constituency in many congressional district and not enough to elect the congressman in that district, pwede mong pagsama-samahin yan. Lahat ng tao nyo, lahat ng suporta nyo, lahat ng constituency nyo ay bumoto on a nationwide scale. Baka magkaroon kayo ng seat. Iyon yung idea. Okay. Nakwento ni Barry kanina yung history dyan after that. Ano? Sa amin kasi kaya I can't speak about it intimately kasi IPER was the key organization, in fact, na nag-advocate for that in 1993. Natayo ang IPER 1991. And one of the first issue na tinakal namin was the passage of the 1995 law, the party list law. Eta Rosales was then the executive director of IPER. Ang mga board namin, sila Commissioner Sarmiento. I mean, we know the debate, kung gaano kahirap ipasayan. It took President Ramos 3 special sessions to pass the party list law. Talagang nag-google silang political capital dyan. Kasi alam niya na more than anything else doon sa sa konstitusyon, yung party list law nagbibigay ng clear na opening para i-bring in yung mga marginalized sector sa lipunan, including yung mga nagre-rebelde noong panahon ni Marcos. Meaning, it's a political decision from his point of view. Remember, yung National Reconciliation was one of the platform ni President Ramos. And he talked with the rebels. And part of the political decision there was to open up the system doon sa mga gustong mag-participate. And party list system was one of those. Ako nagagala kasi ginamit ito na yung interview at sa Commissioner Sarmiento dito sa usapin ng Akbayan at saka Bayan Muna. That was one of the reasons we cited. It's not a legal question. Yung question ng representation of marginalized and underrepresented sector. It's a political question. Question niya, itabi mo ba o ipasok mo? Within the frame ng National Reconciliation na mismo yung Constitution nagsasabi, yung pagbukas ng landasan para yung mga kababayan natin na outside pa ng sistema ay pwedeng pumasok. Party list system was one of the key na institutions na itinayo para makabalik sila. So hindi yan hindi yan simpleng legal question. Ngayon ito ng problema. I'll approach the problem from perspective. Dalawa kasi yung magka-iba talaga na perspective on the party list system based sa history niya. Yung kay former Chair Monsod na perspective, I would categorize that as a perspective of the elite. Yung elite na matagal nang pumahawak ng political power sa Pilipinas, even from the colonial times, hanggang sa kasalukuyan. And it is partly in response to the struggle against the dictatorship na hindi naman sila actually nakapagpanalo. At in fact, they rode on the hard struggle na ginawa over the 23 years ni Marcos. Yung pag-accommodate ng mga mamamayan actually. People power legacy ito. So yung pag-opening sa kanila is a must. Is part ng political requirement yun ng victory sa anti-Marcos dictatorship struggle. But at the same time, part of that perspective, ayaw nila ibukas all the way. That 20% was the giveaway. Sabihin mo eksperimento. In a democracy, that's not an argument. Remember, the right of suffrage doesn't have a percentage attached to it. It's a universal right. Bakit bigla ka magsabi ngayon ng 20% lang? Kung sa ibang bansa ay 50% yan. It means na kahit nakuha mo lahat ng 20% seats sa House of Representatives, hindi ka magkakaroon ng effective policy participation sa pag-formulate ng mga policies. At walang party list sa Senado, kundi lalo. Huwag natin pag-usapan yung napakahirap manalo bilang gobernador, mayor, presidente, vice-presidente na perahan niya. So may ganung problema. The other perspective na bangga at in fact lumilitaw dito sa current debate ay perspective from below. In fact, dalawa yan, isariling debate pa within dyan. In 1998, nung unang lumitaw ang party list, the groups identified with what we know now as Bayan Muna, binoykot nila yung system. Hindi lang binoykot, nag-launch sila ng campaign to discredit the system. Sabi nila, pakulo na naman ito, trap na naman ito ng ruling class. Niluluko ang mga tao. Wala namang mangyari dyan. Wala namang real power yan. That was 1998. Walang bayan muna nun. Ang nandun ay bayan lang. Yung bayan later, hindi yung bayan muna, 2001 yun. What is the reason why they changed their mind? Kasi nakita nila, the system worked. Si ETA, nag-resign sa amin. Precisely because nalagay niya yung sistema in place. At nakapasok siya as the first representative of bayan. At doon nakita na sa loob pala ng House of Representatives, hindi na sila tinatrato as second-class citizen. Hindi kagaya ng mga appointed na sectoral representatives before. Meron na rin silang pork barrel. Pwede rin mag-chairman ng committee, ETA became the chairman of the Human Rights Committee. Ang kulang na lang doon, pero not really because pinagbawal, pero hindi pa sila nakita ng formula to accommodate yung representation sa Commission on Appointments at saka doon sa HRET, yung House of Representatives Electoral Review man. But in all other aspects, may kwarto sila, they have the same budget, the same perks and privileges as the district representatives. Nagkagulo sa loob ng bayan muna in the ranks. Kasi marami gustong tumakbo pala. Yung palang totoo, tumahimik lang noong 1998, gusto naman palang tumakbo. At napatibay yung ganung pananaw. Kasi, nung nanalo nga, nagkaroon nga ng actual na power. Nag-share ng power, kahit maliit, pero it's real power. Yun ang dahilan. So in 2001, they came in with a splash. 6 kaagad na grupo identified with that group ang pumasok. Itong 2010, 10. Na-disqualify nga lang yung Courage sa kayong act at sa kami isa pa yata. 3 yung na-disqualify ng COMELEC. But what it means is that may real recognition doon sa success ng system insofar as opening the door para doon sa mga marginalized groups or those representing the marginalized sector. Kaya ang tanong ko nga din ba't bigla naging issue yun against Akbayan? Is success a basis for disqualifying a party group representing the marginalized and underrepresented sectors? Of course not. Ang malaking problema sa tingin ko, I'm speaking now as a political analyst dito, pag lumitaw yung Akbayan at nagtuloy-tuloy, halimbawa si Risa ay naging senador, malaki ang problema ng bayan muna. Kasi nagkaroon ka ng isang mainstream na left political party na hindi pa nangyayari sa Philippines, sa entire history ng Philippine politics. Meaning yung may napanalo ka clearly representing a left political party na senador, imposible, may have the chances hanggang presidente yan. Parang Obama yan in a lesser scale. Ang problema, of course, is that that's supposed to be their field. Sila yun. And they really tried. Hindi ako naniniwala na yung pagtakbo nila kay Satur, with Villar noong 2010, hindi sila nag-iisip na sumama kay Villar kapag nanalo si Villar. I would have assumed magdidemand sila ng cabinet seats doon. Hindi yun. Hindi guli-guli yun. That's hard political na reality. Ang problema, part of the reality is that Villar lost. Noy won. Kumbaga, mali na kapitan nila. Mali na kalyado nila. Kung sila kasama ni Noy, they would have been the ones na nandiyan ngayon sa kabinete. Kasi bahagi yun Pag nanalo ka, kasama kayo sa eleksyon, nanalo ka, siyempre, kasama ka sa power. But does that mean na hindi ka na nagre-represent ng iyong marginalized constituency? Of course not. What the system envision mula pa sa konstitusyon hanggang sa party list law ay pagbubukas lamang ng pinto. It means to bring into the halls of power yung mga nasa marginalized. The marginalized and underrepresented term is applied to the sector, not to the ones representing them. Maliwanag yun in fact doon sa desisyon ng COMELEC. Hindi nila pinansin yung argument ng bayan muna na dahil meron ng nasa sa Arceeta, nasa NAPSI si Joel Rocamora, nandun sa Malacanang si Ronald at si Barry nandun that would mean na hindi na sila marginalized and underrepresented. From a political point of view, ano yung kalukuhan? At in fact, sabi ko nga, question lang talaga yan na whether you're in the power, halls of power, or you're outside. Sila ngayon sa labas So to conclude, sasagutin ko yung tanong, I'll try to answer the theme of the forum. Ano ang future? Unfortunately, ang current ko na tingin dyan, mas optimistic ako noong 2003. If you want to read at all my whole, ito yun Dito sa UP yun, Public Policy Journal. I already wrote kung analysis ng entire system. Kung saan patungo. Actually, ganito yung tingin ko na from the two perspectives na sinasabi ko. One of the realities ng system ngayon ay maraming pumasok na the same trapos that the system initially wants to be freed of. In fact, kaya malakas yung ganong demand for exclusivity or reserve seats. Precisely because the whole system has already been invaded by the political dynasties. Particularly, mga congressmen at pamilya nila. Palagi na nga pinag-uusapan na sa circulo nila eh. Kapag hindi siguradong manalo, ano, yung asawa, yung anak, yung kaibigan, doon sa district seat, doon na lang sa party list. Maraming party list ay nagpapanggap lamang na nag-represent ng marginalized and underrepresented sector. Pero, pagdating sa nominees, nandun ang giveaway. In 2007 election, isang isyong malaki yan. Nakipag-away kami sa Comelec yan. Bakit? Hiniwalay nila yung nominees, yung paglabas ng pangalan ng nominees doon sa pangalan ng approved party list. Actually, tingin ko hanggang ngayon, the only reason was mabubuking kung anong talaga yung party list group na yan pag lumitaw na yung nominee. Kaya nga nagkaroon ka ng Mike Arroyo eh. Of course, he tried to brazen it out, ano? By saying na all his life, meron siyang security guard. So alam niya kung anong condition ng security guard. Hindi ko ba alam kung nakatingin sa saan yung sinasabi na yun. Pero ganun ka-pervasive yung ganung thinking. In 2010, ang daming kwento dyan, na there's a separate Comelec across the Pasig River, which is Porta, no? Na kung saan 3 million, 6 million pinag-uusapan for the price of an approval for a party list. Tapos, dinay ng Comelec yan. At ako, ayaw pa naman mag-diin sa kanila. Malibel tayo ng di oras, pati cyber libel. Ano? Pero, parang open secret na yan doon eh. Everybody wants to you have the money, you have the connections, kukuha ka. Ang problema, nag-iskandalo na. In 2010, when I was still a member of the Advisory Council on Automation, sinabi na namin sa Comelec, may problema talaga tayo technical, sobrang haba ng balota. Habang humahaba kasi yan, nagiging problema yung dulo. Gumagalaw kasi yung balota eh. Hindi kaya ganun ka-precise na ano yung makina dyan. Baka magkamali ng basa. Hindi lang magkamali ng basa, baka magkaroon ng jam o stoppage doon sa nung balota kasi at nangyari ito nangyari yung mga ganun. Kasi ang original na design ng ballot box, horizontal ang storage. Pagdaan sa makina, diretso lang. Walang folding yung balota. Pero dahil sa haba ng balota, magiging awkward yung ballot box. Parang kabaong ang labas niya. Pahirapan. So kailangan naka-fold. Kaya mataas yung ballot box, malaki, di ba? Kulang factor yun. Pero ang problema, naka-fold yung pagbagsak. Kung napakahaba, nandun yung possibility na, di ba, mabangga na yung nandun na papel na, hindi lumabas, jam ang labas niya. Na nangyari sa ilang cases noong 2010. Anong reason ba ito humaba? Kasi, we have an agreement actually in principle with the Comelec to keep the number of party list. Isa lang yung dahilan kasi, sobrang dami ng party list. Kung tingnan mo yung balota ng 2010, yung side ng local election, blanco. Kalahati blanco. Pero yung national, kahaba-haba ng panglistahan ng party list. Ang usapan lang doon was around minimum na yung 25, maximum mga 45. Parang tayo noong 2004. Sumubra. Itong 2013, niremind namin ulit sina Chairman Brillantes, ano? Ito na naman yung problema, no? Mas malala pa. Mas mahaba kung tutusin ang balutan ng 2013 unless matanggalan nyo yung mismong in-approve nyo na nung 2010. Ibig kahit wala na kayong in-approve sa bago, doon sa 299 na nag-apply, may problema pa rin. Nervous sila. In a sense, kasama yata kami doon sa cause ng gulo eh. Kasi pumahig ang Comelec. Sige, wala kami magawa. Ito-itoin lang namin yung buong listahan. So nagsimula itong process ngayon. Ang problema nila, anong criteria? Wala. Even if there is that Supreme Court decisions, yung 8-point criteria, even if there is the law, wala namang nag-agreement on the definition. Pangalawa, maluwag actually ang batas. Any sector can actually become a party list group. So may problema sila. Nung nagsimula na itong disqualification, yung tinitingnan ko yung basis, ang unang dumating sa isip ko, napaka-arbitrary nito. Gaya rural. Rural sa kanila, meaning ng rural, as against urban, is geographic. And there's no provision in the law na may geographic group. Kaya ang ako Bicol, that was one of the basis eh. Hindi lang multi-sectoral siya. Dahil Bicol siya. Bicol is not a sector, it's a geographical area. Yung mga ganun. So, ganun ang nangyari. So, ang unang problema natin sa future is a question of defining ano ba talaga yung system na yan? Ano bang punot dulo niyan? Ano ba talaga yung lugar niyan sa politika ng bansa? Now, the problem here is that may problema galing sa Comelec, may problema galing sa Supreme Court, may problema galing sa batas, pero may problema din galing sa Konstitusyon. Yung 20% is one. But the more serious problem of the Constitution is that the party list is out of place sa Constitution. The presidential system yung ano. Unless we open the discussion to the revision of the Constitution, kasi no less than a revision ang required, in sense into a parliamentary system, may problema itong party list at saka multi-party system. So, pag-usapan ng pinaka-mahirap at pinaka-fundamental na reforma sa party list system, it's a question itself of the constitutional framework. Pero assuming, di natin mabago ang Constitution, marami sa mga problema ngayon actually can be addressed sa batas. As long as we settle yung sinasabi ko kaninang perspective. I mean, yung dalawang perspective from the elite and from below, dapat mag-meet yan eh. In fact, nag-meet sila kaya nagkaroon ng party list law. In the meeting point ay kailangan meron talagang representation yung mga lumaban against Marcos before. Ako, ang una kong tingin dyan, tama yung direksyon ng Supreme Court in making sure na na-filled up yung lahat ng seats, yung 20%, na sa ngayon yata ay 56 seats na. Pero the way they did it, na-weaken nila mismo yung credibility o legitimacy ng system. Kasi the 2%, kaya nandyan yan, ang reasoning niya, kailangan mag-demonstrate ka muna na mayroon ka talagang constituency nire-represent. Fundamental yun. Alam naman nakaupo ka dyan, wala ka namang nire-represent o kulang yung nire-represent mo. Ang question lang namin sa 2% is that hindi realistic kasi fixed eh. It was assumed nung ginawa yung batas niya na 50 lang ang 20%. So eksakto, 2%. Kung lahat makakuha ng 2%, lahat makukuha mo yung seats. Of course, in real life, iba-iba yung boto. Pero even theoretically, may problema na. Kasi 56 seats na. Pag 2% ka, automatically may 6 doon na hindi mo ma-fill up. Kasi susobra ka sa 100%. Kaya yung amendment to the Constitution, to the party list law, na pwede na yun, nagsasabi ng isang moving na threshold. Meaning, i-divide mo 100%, ito na yung mga calculator, i-divide mo 100% by 56. Then, that would be the threshold na pwede magbago every election. Para realistic yung ano. Pero dahil nga reality, hindi naman patas yung mga boto ng lahat. Kasama doon sa proposal is to change the rules by counting the fractions. Ginawa ng Supreme Court yun ngayon, doon sa banat. But then, ang proposal on the table doon sa Congress, ibase mo yung 100% doon sa actual total votes ng mga nanalo. Ibig sabihin, pag nakapasa ka ng threshold, then kayo yung mag-i-enjoy. Kasi kayo nag-demonstrate na may constituency kayo eh. Kayo mag-i-enjoy ng seats. Yung hindi nakaabot ng threshold, kaya na threshold tawag, wala. Wait for next election siya. Nang sa ganon, ang maghahati doon sa seats na yan, yung nakalampas sa threshold. And usually, hindi yan isa. Halos lahat sila may dalawa yan. Pero kung i-count mo pa yung fractions doon sa mga kalkulasyon ng mga mathematicians, buo lahat ng seats or at least mga 95% mapipila. So may problem doon sa Supreme Court decision dito. They have to review that. Tapos yung insistence on marginalized and underrepresented sector. From my point of view, dahil kasama na ako dyan sa mga negosasyon sa Kongreso nung kaugnay ng usapin na yan for the past 5 congresses na. Hindi talaga magtagpo eh. Kasi meron nagsasabi, basic sectors yan. Meron nagsasabi, of course, included ang elderly dyan, youth, etc., yung mga non-basic. Nagsasabi naman na lahat dapat, kahit anong sektor pwede. Actually, my point of view, hindi importante masyado. Ang tingin ko dapat ibalik sa proportional representation as envisioned by the framers. Meaning, anybody can be or can have a political party list political group. Well, ang mas radical na proposal niya, huwag na tayo mag-party list group, magpa-register ng separate list. Mag-register na lang as political parties. And then, the political parties, yun, lahat pwede sumama. Kung proportional representation kasi, as in other countries, ganun ang sistema. Isang group ka lang, hindi ka LP, tapos akbayan ka din. Per party list. Yun ang problema dun eh. Mas simple yung isang grupo ka lang, you can participate in both. Kagaya ng bayan muna at ng akbayan. Baka hindi pa niyo alam, yung dalawang yan, registered yan pareho as party list group and as national political party. Kaya may daya yan over the other groups. They can actually field senators kung gusto nila. Which they did in 2010 elections. So yun yung dyan, yung adjustment, Kasi ang tunay naman na sukatan talaga ng lakas ng mga basic sectors ito, Theoretically, kayo kasi nakakarami. Bakit hindi kayo makapag-produce ng boto? There's something wrong sa political organizing mo. Kung supposedly, mas marami kayo kaysa sa elite or any other even middle class groups. But the reality of politics kasi, there's no such thing as command votes by any sector. Walang women vote, sa mga kabataan dito sa UP. Sabi mo na sa inyo, walang youth vote. Wala rin UP vote. Mga taga-UP, kaya nga microcosm ito ng Philippine politics kasi kayo dito nag-aaway-aaway din. Hindi lang yung panahon na yun. Panahon namin, panahon pa, kupon-kupon pa. Ang mga taga-UP, yan ang nagdudulot ng sakit ng ulo sa bansa eh. Nagkang-rebellion, nahilig, Ganun yun. So at the end of the day, mas ang direction ko, i-open up yung system. Pero in accordance with the concept of the system, yung proportional representation. Kung ako masunod, i-drop nyo na yung debate about marginalized and underrepresented. Kasi nasagot na yan nung provision sa Constitution na may 3 terms na inalot doon sa sectoral representative. And then later, it was also a compromise noong 1995 na yung first election, the 98th election, bawal yung 5 partido. Na sinunod yun ng mga parties, sila actually ang bumoto noong 1995 para sa party list law na yan, in that particular provision. Kaya naniningil yung major parties. Noong 2001, may tumakbo sa Supreme Court para ipagbawal sila ulit, nanalo. Kaya hanggang ngayon, the major parties are prohibited. Pero from their point of view, traidoran yun. May usapan eh. Pinasa namin yung batas na yan para makasama namin sa sunod. Kasi nagre-representing kami. From the point of view to, nagre-representing kami ng marginalized sectors. Again, naging controversy yung ganyan. And the simplest way to solve it, i-drop nyo na. Ako, sa tagal na nung diskusyon sa usapin na yan, I think it's time to drop the whole debate. Salamat po.